I was working with Mary. She suffered from an extremely severe phobia of water. Since infancy, she was absolutely terrified of water. So I just asked her to tap right here while she thought about water. She did this and her expression changed dramatically. She looked at me and she said, "It's gone." Then, a few months after that, I tried something on Mary because I was working with Mary. Mary is the first case in TFT. She suffered from an extremely severe phobia of water. I've never seen a worse phobia than Mary's. And it was extremely intense. She had nightmares several times a week. She was in her 40s at the time, and she had had this as far back as anyone in her family could remember. Since infancy, she was absolutely terrified of water. Nobody knows why. So I explored her, I was talking with her, and I tried this. I made sure she wasn't reversed, because I knew about that, but I didn't know anything else. And so I pushed on her arm, asking her to think of water, and when she touched here, the arm was strong, which indicated to me that this meridian for the stomach was out. She also put it this way. She said, "I always have this horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach." So I said, well, let's try something. The stomach meridian, of course, begins right here, comes up around, ends up on the second toe, goes over the whole body. So I just asked her to tap right here while she thought about water. And she did this and her expression changed dramatically. She looked at me and she said, "It's gone." I didn't know what she was talking about. I wasn't expecting anything, of course, nor was she. And I said, "What's gone?" She says, "That awful feeling in the pit of my stomach when I think of water. It's not there anymore. It's gone." Well, I was very skeptical of this, of course, because I had been trying everything I knew in my clinical repertoire since I had been practicing therapy since 1950, and nothing resulted in this. I got her so to the point where she could sit by the pool, dangle her feet in the water, but it was sheer torture for this poor woman. So although it looked like an improvement, and a lot of behavioral therapy will report improvements like this in behavior, the way I characterized this change that she could sit there is that all she learned was that she could take more misery than she thought she could before treatment. So she learned she could take more misery, but the problem was still there, and so were the nightmares. So we're going to show you a clip of Mary interviewed 17 years after treatment, because even to this day now, there's no trace of this problem anymore. The nightmares stopped immediately. Now, of course, I started trying this on all my other patients with fears and phobias, and alas, I did not get the same dramatic results. So I had to learn a lot more.
You know, everyone is frightened of something, but for some people, fear becomes a way of life. For these people, the fear of things like spiders, heights, and water, it becomes so intense that they can't live a normal life.
Our first guest says he's developed a 5-minute cure for most phobias, and he's here to prove it works. Please welcome clinical psychologist Dr. Roger Callahan and a former patient, Mary Ford.
Hi, Mary. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure to have you two on the show today.
Yes, it is a pleasure to be here. Now, for those of us who don't know, what is a phobia?
Phobia is a very severe fear. It's constant. It's there all the time. If you avoid the phobic situation, you can feel fine. But when you're confronted with the fear, then it can be very, very upsetting.
It's an irrational fear?
Yeah.
So they rationally...
The patient knows that.
They know that,
it doesn't
but somehow
help.
Emotionally
Oh.
it
doesn't
make
help
sense
one
at all.
iota to know that.
Well, Mary, I know you have a fear, or had an overwhelming fear of water.
Yes, I did.
How did that affect your life?
Oh, it taken complete control of my life. I mean, I couldn't be around any kind of water mostly. Big bodies of water, rain, anything like that. I just...
Even on television.
And on television. I could watch it on television. I get up just almost a nervous wreck.
Well, how about cooking? I
or
mean, or
doing
drinking
dishes.
water?
Well, I drink, but I don't drink that much water. And somebody asked me, "Don't you take baths?" Yeah, but they barely come over my feet. So I don't know where the fear come from. It's something I must have been born with.
How did you help Mary?
Well, first, I worked with her for 1.5 years using the conventional therapeutic procedures that I had been using since 1950. I've been in the field for many, many years. So I kept searching and developing, and I finally hit on something that's so absurdly ridiculous as it looks back on it now, but it performed a miracle for Mary. She was cured in an instant, just like that.
In an instant?
Yeah.
Do you remember that instant?
Oh, yes, I do. I just felt like a big load had lifted up off of me.
And there was a storm that night.
And that was a very bad storm. You know, usually when the storm here in Los Angeles, the streets get like rivers. Well,
oh, yeah.
And I usually had to come over cold water, and you meet all this muddy water coming down. I called Dr. Callahan, telling him, don't look for me, I'm not coming. So that night, though, after I went to the pool, and I said, I know this fear going to come back. So I said, I'm going to the beach. If the beach don't do it, I'm cured. So I went to the beach at night, and I walked on the thing, and it never has returned.
Well, Mary,
I'm so glad that you're over it.
It's
But don't
incredible.
quit Waterworld, honey.
No.
It's not worth it.
it's not worth it. Thank you for coming on the
Yeah.
show today.
Of course, the treatment of Mary was a milestone. And although all my other clients did not respond in the same way, I was very fortunate that Mary did with that simple little treatment, doing nothing more than just tapping under her eye, cured her. Whereas nothing else came close to even making any difference whatsoever in this fear. Eliminated the nightmares and gave me the feeling, hey, this is something's going on here, because I've never seen anything like this in my whole career. And I've been doing psychotherapy since 1950, and I never even saw a demonstration. I was a fellow of the American Society of Clinical Hypnosis, for example. I never saw anything like this. I never saw anyone do a demonstration like this. So I felt I was onto something, and I kept exploring and trying things and working. And over a period of years, we ended up finding a number of things through accurate, objective diagnosis that would help us develop treatments which are the most powerful treatments in the history of psychotherapy.
namubuze duhunga sinongera kumubona. Noneho rero ikintera ihungabana nuko mbona ndi njyenyine ntagira aho kuba, mbana n'abana gusa batiga kubera kubura minerivare. Icyo kintu cyanteraga ihungabana, kandi mbona abandi barimo biga abanjye batiga.
92 narafunzwe mu byitso, nari mfite ubwato mu Cyohoha, bashinja ko bwambutse abana mu Burundi mu Nkota. Ndafungwa, hari umuzungukazi biciye Nyamata, nibo batumye dufungurwa. Amahanga arahura n'amadini aramfungura. Nabari bagiye kunyica, nishigaje nk'amasaha 2 kugira ngo apfe. 94 rero bamperaho bo ndani umuryango wanjye kuri paruwasi ngira ngo barahakirira. Nari mfite inka nshaka kuzijyana i Burundi, n'umwana bamwica, ndatoroka, inka ndazita n'umwana baramwica.
When we effectively treat an individual's life stresses, we can often improve their overall health.
Being Rwandan, being part of a country that has gone through the worst genocide in the world. When you talk about Rwanda, people hear genocide, a country where 60% of the population are still poor, a country where there's trauma. As a Rwandan, it affects me, but knowing that there's people who are healing, because this is not something you will hear in the newspaper. You need to talk to the people and find out how they're overcoming these problems. So knowing that there's people, and lots of people, who are healing, who are finding back their lives, who are starting small businesses after healing from their trauma. It was a big relief for me and increases the pride of being Rwandan.
Cyerekeranye n'ubuvuzi nyine nuko ubwo nahereye mu muryango wanjye, mbibwira abana banjye nabo babibwira abandi, ariko n'abaturanyi ku ruhande ugize ikibazo kuriye bajya guhamagara abajyanama b'ubuzima, njye mba nahageze bagasanga nabakoreye biriya nyine, nkagerageza kubavura mbabwira ubuhamya bw'ibyo byambayeho. Ubwo nicyo kintu navuga nkora ko n'abaturanyi ndabibakorera.
Aho nyimenyeye yangiriye akamaro ndetse igirira n'abandi akamaro, kuko umujinya waragabanutse, singira umujinya ukwihorera mu rugo nk'umukozi, nta mugabo ni muri ntera hamwe, ibyo singibivuga, mbese byaragabanutse rwose.
This orphanage started in 1981, and it is a family legacy, and has been helping the children, vulnerable children, orphans, and those who are abandoned, those who have one parent. And that young man, since he came here, he was angry. He used to be not friendly to his colleagues, most of the time quarreling with them. He used to be harsh in his language towards the caretakers. He used to be as an undisciplined guy, but for this time, he's a smart guy, he's a smiling guy. When he has a problem, you can share the problem. He has self-confidence. So I find a lot of progress in his psychological field, and I believe that TFT has played a great part in his changing.
I believe that what's going on here is a model that can be used anywhere in the world to test the efficacy of any psychotherapy. We've done that. We've tested thousands of people, both on camera and off camera, and we're very pleased with how successful it is. And it's proving to be more successful with each passing day.
I feel like I'm ready to become a solution of my country, and I will try to against tribalism in our country, because tribalism did not bring a good results. Just people lost their lives because of so I'm telling people in these days that we are all Rwandans. We are not. We have no different tribes. We are one people. We are one family. We are one nation. Genocide should never, never, and never happen again in our country, neighboring country, Eastern countries, African countries, America, anywhere in the whole world. I'm ready to be one person who can bring a positive results for not genocide happening again. I'm with you. Amen. So now we are two. So we find other people. Now we get other people. Even you. Wow. Good. Yeah. God bless you.
One of the most remarkable instances of the effectiveness and the instantaneous effect of informational medicine I heard about recently, and it had to do with this system called thought field therapy, which is an energy psychology that supposedly heals and changes negative thoughts around us. And the theory is that negative thoughts hang around us almost like a net, and they affect bodily systems. They use this system in Kosovo with survivors of the war in former Yugoslavia. These were families who'd been severely traumatized because the policies of ethnic cleansing were to kill half of a family just so the survivors would be demoralized. So they took a group of people who had severe post-traumatic stress syndrome, who would have required years and years and years of talking cures and medicine and all that sort of conventional thinking. And they gave them thought-field therapy. And to a person, this is 100% of the people in this study were made virtually instantly better, to the point where they were laughing, joking. They were healed completely from this trauma. Even the practitioners of energy psychology were blown away by the power of this modality. But this just gives us one small example of the power of using information as medicine.
I heard people screaming. I remember seeing on the opposite mountain people killing with a machete.
Umugabo arapfa, n'abana nifite barapfa.
Umuryango wanjye wose barawumaze.
Jye usanzwe mvukana n'abana 7 ariko nabashije kurokoka jyenyine.
I was only 7. It was traumatic for me. I felt that I wasn't safe.
Mubarongo abana bafite trauma ni benshi. Ubu mfite inkovu nyinshi mu mutwe hano hanjye. Nta marira twarize.
Ni ibintu byagaragaje ko umuntu afite kamere mbi rwose.
The country was traumatized, was stressed, was depressed. Ihungabana cyangwa se trauma ntabwo wagica mu Rwanda kuko ari ikintu udasanga ku muntu umwe cyangwa babiri, ni ikintu usanga mu bantu benshi cyane.
Umva mbese kubaho ntacyo bimariye nanjye nkumva ndi mu mupfu.
I was not expecting a lot from it.
Nuko twagiye muri gufata ayo mahugurwa.
Ibintu abanyamahanga bazanye tudasanzwe tumenyereye umuco wacu y'Abanyarwanda wenda bidafite n'icyo bimaze.
Bamwe bararize abandi bamera nk'abasazi gusa usibye ko ubuvuzi badukoreye.
A technique that helps people in a way that they could not believe.
Byihuse gukiza, njye nabonye nta muntu bigeze bajyana kwa muganga.
Umuntu ashobora kwivura ubwe ku giti cye.
Ndahamya rwose ko nge mbona impinduka zigaragara mu bantu twagiye twakira.
Singirwana singitukana cyane nkuko nari meze. Ahubwo nsigaye nanjye mfasha abandi.
Ni nabwo bwa mbere nagize ikintu kinsetsa mu buzima kuva intambara irangiye.
Tugeze mu rugo ndakomeza ndabyikorera numva bingiriye akamaro maze gukira mbikorera abana.
Hatangira kunezerwa no guseka.
Aho nshake nawe nimaze kubyara abandi 4. Singirwana singitukana cyane nkuko nari meze.
N'abantu bose bagerageze kuhagirira ibibazo barakiriye ubuvuzi kandi turatahana.
Ubu ni nta muntu wari uzi ko bibaho ko babonaga ko bitashoboka guseka. Ariko ubu nabaye umuntu nk'abandi nyine ngasabana n'abandi.